Good evening and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. This is our second episode live on YouTube on our new Villa Park pod channel. And I'm pleased to say I have Kevin, Mr. KT AVFC, and we have our returning Villa Park pod regular Martin joining us. So I will get them in a second. But firstly, I just wanted to say a massive thank you for those watching, and also a massive thank you to those who have subscribed to the channel. I know we put a little competition out on Monday, I think it was, and the response has been phenomenal. We've gone from around less than 40 subscribers to now over 125 subscribers, so over 80 subscribers in the last 3 days, which is just absolutely phenomenal. So thank you for that, and we will be drawing the name out of the hat, or the virtual hat, so to speak, to win the home or away Villa shirts for 2022-23 season of their choice. And yeah, just the response has been fantastic, so thank you very much. If you haven't already, please give the video a like. Please subscribe to the channel. We are new. As I say, we are over 100 subscribers already, 125 subscribers already. If we can get close to that 200, 250 mark, then we'll be well on our way to really pushing up that pushing up the ranks. And obviously that we do come out on audio only as well, and the listening figures for our last episode were fantastic, so it's great to see so many Villa fans getting involved with the channel. Please as well comment on the show if you're watching. We're going to be covering the big news this week, which is the captaincy changing over. We're also going to be previewing the upcoming friendly against Rennes, and also just discussing what Gerrard needs to do before the start of the season. Does he need to sign any players? Does he need to come up with a new formation? Does he need to get a settled 11, etc., etc.? So get involved in the comments. We'll read anything out that we can, and yeah, we'll have a good show. So without further ado, let's get the boys in. Kev, Martin, good to see you, lads. Kev, first of all, how are you doing, my friend? I've just mentioned there in the intro, long intro there, but I thought it needed to be said just about the number of subscribers, which has been absolutely fantastic, mate.
Kevin, you're on mute.
Jesus, if there's ever a metaphor for the last 2 years. I was just saying that intro was great. If I'm ever struggling to get to sleep at any point the next few months, I'll play it back to myself. No,
cheers, mate.
No, listen, the boring but essential stuff. It's been amazing to get so many more subscribers come on board. Obviously, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, we will be doing it live, which is great, and we welcome all interaction. So yeah, it's really good, and hopefully someone's going to be pretty chuffed at the end when they get themselves a new shirt, because we've had to sell a kidney each, haven't we, to pay for this? So
yeah. These I don't think it'll be the pro shirt. Let's just put it out there now.
No,
it's not going to be the pro shirt.
Remortgage, yes.
I've heard the sizing's a little bit more generous this time around, so yeah, pretty good. And Martin, great to see you, mate. I know you've been very busy over the summer, so good to have you back chatting all things Aston Villa.
Yeah, delighted to be back. Busy few months with me face here for my apprenticeship, and then I was in Turkey, for 2 weeks visiting my grandmother's grave as she passed away in April. So finally got a chance to see her grave and spend some quality time with my grandfather, playing darts by the beachside. I couldn't ask for any more.
Good man. Excellent stuff. So onto the news of the week. Not really much on the transfer front. I think a young player has signed for the academy. I think we seem to be raiding the Scottish market for all their best young players at the minute. So yeah, we've signed a young lad for the academy. But the big news this week has been the change in captaincy, and Gerrard made the big call to take the captaincy away from Mr. Tyrone Mings and give it to John McGinn. So before my thoughts, Kev, your thoughts on the change in captaincy?
Well, I thought, based on what we'd seen so far in the pre-season and some of the signings that had come in, and particularly the chat we had on the last pod, that I felt of all the options that Martinez was the only real choice, because I felt it was the only guaranteed starter. That was the perspective that I had, based on the fact that I thought we might bring in another number 8, which there's been big talk we're after another number 8. And if someone's coming on board in that position, then they're going to partner McGinn or JJ or Sanson or Chukwuemeka if he stays, someone like that. So I'm thinking that Mings has got a lot of competition with centre back. It's got to be Emi Martinez. So the fact he's gone for John McGinn. Look, I love John McGinn. I wish he'd play a bit more for us, like he does for Scotland, in terms of his goal return. Because his goal return in the Premier League and the assist isn't great, but he's all action. He's all heart. He's the ideal kind of character to be captain. And the fact he's obviously been given this nod from Gerrard is brilliant, really, because it says to anybody that might be interested in him, thanks for your time, see you later. But hopefully that will galvanise him to sort of push the team forward. Yeah. So yeah, I think he's a perfect kind of character for it. It's just it puts to bed any rumours of him leaving now, I guess, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Martin, do you think that obviously we've mentioned quite a few times in this podcast whether McGinn's place is guaranteed, whether as Kev says, there's a lot of competition there, whether he needed people to push him for his place, but this captaincy seems like he's kind of well in Gerrard's plans and almost a guaranteed starter. But do you think this captaincy is given to him to kind of increase his concentration levels and maybe bring his game up that 10-20% that it maybe needs to be brought up to?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you look at it with Scotland, he plays a lot higher role, in the midfield, and the way he leads the team. Like, so he looks like the sort of lad that he feels like for him to have responsibility for the team makes him play that little bit better than he already does. I think he will push really well for us as a captain because he loves the Villa. He always has nice things to say, and I love him. Like, he's up there, one of my favorite players. Like, and like Kev said, with Martinez just Martinez being the guaranteed captaincy choice because he's the only starter. But when you look back when Gerrard first came, and there was an article about him talking about John McGinn, and he was just really praising him. Like, I've heard from different managers that he's really good, and now he's at my disposal. I really can't wait to work with him. So it just goes to show how highly Gerrard rates McGinn and his leadership qualities to be captain of Aston Villa. So I've no dispute with the decision at all. Obviously, if Mings was still captain for the season, it still wouldn't have bothered me either because he also loves the Villa. He really, represents us really well. And we've seen it with his Twitter. There was no salty or bitterness or anything like that. He was just really grateful. So I don't think anybody could argue with the decision whether it would have been Mings or John McGinn to be captain. So
yeah. Before we talk about like the Mings, delve into like the Mings response on it. Obviously I put a clip out from the last episode about us talking about maybe McGinn not necessarily showing his best. He started the game against Man United, okay, but then there was a few wayward passes. I know the pitch wasn't great, but we've talked about the presence and the strength from midfield as not being quite there with the the way the Premier League's going. Are you a little bit concerned on that, Kev? Like, does this now look like we're not necessarily going to sign anyone in that midfield area? Now he's kind of confirmed McGinn, and he's obviously got Kamara in. So now there's really only one spot in that midfield that's up for grabs?
Well, the first thing I'll say is hopefully, we want to take this podcast, to take the world over. But you posted that clip about the midfield questions, and the next day Gerrard announces McGinn as captain. So, like, maybe they were talking about us in the dressing room, and it actually just had to be.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past Gerrard. He has come to me before for advice. So.
It's like kind of good timing that, wasn't it? You can say they were going to announce the captain around this time anyway, and it just happened to be coincidence. But no, look, I touched on this in the last pod. I do worry that if we don't strengthen significantly in a couple of places still, we'll see this as a missed opportunity. This will be, for me, the equivalent of like England, Croatia, World Cup semi-final, England, Italy, Euro final. And Martin, just for you, Ireland losing to Holland, was it in 1990, whatever. So there you go. Because you've got to take your moments in football. Football's all about moments. You ask, Denmark and Greece with the Euros. You ask Leicester in that situation, obviously, where they were top of the league, sort of early part of that, of 2015. Are they going to stay there? We know we haven't got Europe this season. We know there's a lot of teams ahead of us that haven't massively strengthened. Carpe diem, seize the day, take the opportunity. We've got money. We say we're going to back it. We might still do this business that I want us to do, and it might be brilliant. But I feel we are a number 8 attacking midfielder light, and I feel we are a striking option light, and it'd be interesting what happens. So I feel great for McGinn. Hopefully it galvanises him. Hopefully we see a response. But I do have a bit of a worry that this will be not turning how we want it to be, and in November, December will be middling, and there'll be pressure on Gerrard, and then it's potentially Groundhog Day, new manager, start it all over again, different ideas, different way of playing, different personnel. I feel this is the chance now. This is the moment we've got to take it.
Yeah. Aaron's come with a couple of really good comments, so we'll pick up on that a little bit later in the show when we talk about, what does Gerrard need in terms of that. So some really good comments there, Aaron. So we'll come on to that. For me, I think you're pretty much spot on. I mean, I don't know whether it was obviously the big news of the week, but at the end of the day, captain's a captain. There should be the old cliche 11 captains on the pitch or whatever, and obviously with some big characters now, more big characters. McGinn's obviously a big character. Emi Martinez is a big character. Mings is a big character. Diego Carlos seems like a big character. We've got now some kind of people who might, start calling people out on the pitch now and start shouting and start being a little bit more ruthless in terms of, not taking chances, telling people what they need to be told. And Mark here said he doesn't think anyone will be guaranteed their place, whether they have the armband or not. And that should be the case, shouldn't it? And that might have been the reason why Martin, Mings maybe has relinquished the captaincy, because obviously, he's now got real competition now with regards to Diego Carlos, Ezri Konsa, and Callum Chambers, who's come out of this pre-season in real form. And now, Mings absolutely can't be guaranteed his spot in that starting lineup, can he?
No, absolutely not. And I think that's probably one of the things as well that probably played into factor that, look, if you're not going to be guaranteed your place, there's no real point in giving you the armband. So it's kind of is a little bit the kick in the teeth for Mings, but at the same time, if you want to improve, unfortunately, we have to do better than Mings, and unfortunately, Mings is not going to get any better. That's just the position he's in. I've nothing against him, never have, but you're just kind of waiting on a mistake. You're waiting for this or you're waiting for that, but I think he really will have a hard time. I think it'd be a Konza and Carlos partnership. Probably come to the start of the season, I reckon it would be Chambers and Carlos.
Yeah.
Well, Konza picks
we
up.
Were saying that.
His ACL injury and everything else. Yeah. So I think it'd be a Chambers and Carlos for the time being, which I won't have any issues with. Chamberdino, prove me wrong, shut me up. So, look, I think it's a reality check for Mings that just because he was a captain doesn't mean you're going to stay the captain when a new manager comes in, So time will tell. Unfortunately, this is all just what if, buts, and maybes going into the future. But time will tell whether this was the right decision or not.
Time will absolutely tell, I think. And Gerrard's rhetoric since he came on board was that he didn't make any guarantees. He said it's up for grabs even back in the end of last year. So from my perspective, like, does it mean that if he drops Mings, then Mings is going to leave? Does it mean if he picks McGinn's then an absolute guaranteed starter? It's all up for grabs. I think Mark's absolutely right with the comment that no one should be guaranteed, armband or not. But almost certainly if you have got the armband, then you probably are going to be a guaranteed starter. I'd like to think Villa get to a point, but, are there any other clubs you could think of where the captain sometimes comes in and out of the team? Maybe if they're 34, 35-year-old club captain, possibly.
Yeah. Maybe like Jordan Henderson doesn't always play, does he? But when he does play, is the captain. Yeah.
I mean, and I was just going to say quickly as well, I think Mings potentially could get better. I know we don't think he is, because without the pressure of the captaincy, then
this is what Gaz has just said there, and obviously there Mark said he's a leader, whether he's got it or not. And like you say, I was just about to ask that, Kev. Like, what does it mean for Mings? Does it mean that he might, become a better player, either A, from a kick up the backside that he's not the captain, or B, the pressure's off him a little bit more so he can sort of concentrate on his own game?
Yeah. Yeah, I think absolutely. Like, you know, as Martin said, time will tell. But if it works out how we want it to work out, look, we want Ings to score 20 goals and Watkins to score 18. We want Coutinho to assist, 15 and score 9. Like, everything we want to happen, we want McGinn to take the opportunity and to flourish and to relish this chance. And we want Mings to be the great defender that we know he is, without some of the lackadaisical, slightly sort of haphazard way of defending sometimes. On his day, I would still think you can argue on his day he's our best defender, but he's also on his day our worst defender. So it's what do you get? And I think you mentioned the centre half partnership. I think it'll be Mings and Carlos that'll start the season.
You still think Mings will? Yeah, he might well be. I mean, I think Chambers is really pushing them hard. I really do, and it'll be interesting. Obviously, we'll go into like the preview of the games, because there's one or two other games that they're doing over the weekend as well. We'll come on to that, but just a quick mention in terms of, I know you briefly mentioned it, Martin, about Mings and his really gracious response on Twitter, and it kind of just puts to bed any sort of ill feeling, stops any newspaper talk immediately. And just really shows the measure of the man, really, just how intelligent and how sort of level-headed he is.
Yeah, absolutely. He showed a great sense of maturity. He just kind of thought it's what's best for the club, and the club comes first. Like, that's the age he's at. If he was probably, let's say, 22, 23, and he was the captain and got taken off, and he might have acted like a spoiled little brat, like, because some lads that age in football do act like that. But I don't think that was just Ming's character. The captaincy was gone. McGinn got it. He was really happy for him because he knows it's going to someone who probably deserves it. So like I said earlier, he was really gracious, happy enough with the decision, and there's no hard feelings at all.
I think it all depends on the team spirit as well, doesn't it? Because obviously, our manager himself went through the process of being given captaincy way younger than obviously McGinn is, from a player who was an absolute rock solid defender in Sami Hyypiä. And, Sami Hyypiä was really gracious about it at the time when it happened. I read an article about that recently. So if the morale is good in the dressing room, Mings and McGinn have been through a lot together. Mings and McGinn got through playoff promotions together. They've been with us when we've gone through all these changes as a club. Look at all the players that are on here now, from a Lansbury to a James Bree to, etc. They are still first team players.
Yeah, they're kind of like the OGs where, there was a set of group and everyone's gone and they're still there and there's new people in. I know what you mean,
a little bit like Scott and Charlene and Harold, basically, neighbours, that kind of situation. They're still there at the end. But if they get on well, and this is the thing, if that squad is cohesive and they're working together, then you like to think it'll work out. If Mings isn't playing first game of the season, then is that meaning that we'll get bids in for him and he'll throw his toys at the pram, or will he see it as a squad game? It's a watch this space kind of situation, really.
Absolutely. Just before we move on to the next subject, we've got some great comments coming in already, which is fantastic. We've got really good numbers viewing, so please leave a like on the video and please subscribe to the Villa Park podcast channel. It'll be fantastic. And obviously you can see our Twitter handles here. Please drop us a follow on Twitter, and we're on Instagram at Villa Park Pod as well.
Richard, we're on Facebook as well, new Facebook page as well.
Yes, we have a new Facebook page. Check it in the description. The link to our Facebook page is in the description. We'll be posting clips, posting the times of and details of our next shows, and obviously getting involved in the comments with you guys. Any questions that you've got, please put them in on there as well. I'll go on to before we preview the weekend's games. We've had some comments from Aaron, and it takes us quite nicely into the next sort of topic that we're going to discuss, which is basically what do we need for the rest of the season, because we made a lot of good signings at the start of pre-season, and we've actually made 5 signings if you include making Coutinho a permanent signing. And I know we've sort of been back and forth, Kev, about what we think we need. I think that's echoed in sort of what Aaron's saying, in terms of, and he's kind of gone with, we need to seize the day. He definitely agrees with you, and we need 2 quality signings, attack the league when the others are weak. Teams have the World Cup, which we've discussed, the Champions League, etc., and we don't. So move on from Bournemouth, get a win against them, get a great start, and move on. So obviously, real positiveness, but it's that moment of seizing the day. So I'll come to you first, Martin. What do you think? I mean, Aaron's put in we need two more players in, a big centre midfielder, which I totally agree with, and possibly the same in terms of striking options. But do you see any signings coming in? Do you agree with that, or do you think Gerard's just going to go with what he's got for the time being? I know I've just thrown loads of questions at you there.
No.
Yeah.
I'll try to narrow them down a little bit.
Yeah.
No, I think when we go back to Gerard's interview, he said he wants to add another midfielder while he was talking about Kamara. So I think he wants a partnership with Kamara as 2 6s probably. That's the way I'm seeing it. And then probably McGinn somewhere there. I don't know. It's just, he's really saying this and he's saying that. But in terms of big beast centre midfielder, you see, it's very hard because there's not many of them out there.
Ibrahim Sangare was mentioned, maybe. I don't know if he's been on your radar.
Yeah, just
like him, Kev.
Yeah, he would be a very good player, but I'm kind of skeptical of the Dutch league sometimes, because of who comes up and they don't really, meet expectations.
For every Luis Suarez, you get about 10 Mateo Kesmans, don't you?
This shows my age, but I always think of, when I think of like players in the Dutch league, I think of that Alfonso Alves who signed for Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
He scored like 35 goals in the Dutch league or something, and then just got like 0. Yeah. So I totally take your point. I do definitely take your point, and I guess that's one of those things where you've got a young player from the French league, and then if you match him up with another player from the Dutch league, Kev, is that a bit of a risk with the quality of the midfielders in this Premier League?
I think if they're good enough, it's not a risk, is it? Because Vieira was a risk, wasn't he, when he came on board? I'm sure N'Golo Kante was a risk, and they're two of the best defensive midfielders the Premier League's ever seen. In fact, it's one of those positions where sometimes people come out of nowhere, and I don't think we knew too much about Matic, did we, at Chelsea? And the list goes on. So I think it is a risk, but I'd like us to be quite bold with it. Like we know which players in our squad are probably not going to add loads of value, but they can do a bit of a job. Martin, don't get upset here because I know you like him, but Marvelous Nakamba being an example. If we start the season with Marvelous Nakamba, he'll do a job. He'll come in when he needs to. We've got injuries. But would it not be a really good, bold move to say, we're going to move Marvelous Nakamba on, get 5-10 million from him from somewhere, and then bring in a top quality person that can interchange with Kamara, play alongside Kamara when we want to be a bit more sturdy against some of the bigger teams. Like that would be a bold move for me to do that. So I don't know. I just feel like that is something which I wouldn't be surprised with what's been said if we still did do something. I wouldn't be surprised.
But I do think if you do bring in that big centre midfielder that Aaron there is saying, you don't ship Nakamba and just get like 5 or 10 mil. You're kind of looking at nearly shipping Douglas Luiz because he's a year left in his deal. He does, at the minute, with the way it looks, it doesn't look like he's going to sign it. So you would get a little bit of cash for him and then go sign your player where you're spending nearly the same money.
But
on the business side of things, that's the way I would look at it.
I'd be actually happy if we brought in a better defensive midfielder option alongside Kamara, and I'd probably accept going into the season with JJ, with McGinn, with Sanson, who looks like, I still think there's a player there in Sanson. I really think there is.
Well, Gerard's confirmed
and with Luiz
sticking around.
And with Luiz
and Tim. We mentioned Tim the other day.
Yeah, I don't mind from an offensive perspective, like Sanson and Luiz, because Luiz obviously wants to play further forward. The other thing we've got to remember with McGinn as well, I meant to say this earlier on in terms of his record, he's got like probably 1 in 3.5 for Scotland goals, about 1 in 10 for Villa. But at Villa, he's played a lot of that time, fair amount of it, a good percentage of it in the defensive midfield role. So, I wouldn't be too bothered. I think there's enough there from those players. Obviously, Coutinho as well, Buendia in those sort of more offensive midfield roles. I think that's more of a pressing issue in terms of, if Kamara gets injured, let's be clear, you're left with Luiz doing a job there, or Tim, who we think is absolutely capable. I think he's capable of stepping up, but he's a young lad. You put imagine Kamara does a horrible injury in the first couple of weeks. What you got then?
Yeah.
You got Nakamba.
Yeah. Gaz has put there, would love another top striker, but having said that, how good does Archer look? And yeah,
I was
Archer's
just
looked
gonna come up with
fantastic.
something like that, yeah.
I don't think we can praise him enough. Like, he's just a natural born goal scorer. He's just fantastic. But I've said it to death. If Davies can stay fit, or if he likes the look of him, or if we can get that type of player in, I think that's one thing that we're missing, like that big, strong player that can hold the ball up top, because that's what really brings the midfield into play, the likes of Coutinho's and Buendia's. And at the moment, I don't think we've got it. I don't know what you lads think, and I don't know where that type of player is at the moment. They're like absolute gold dust, that type of centre forward.
Well, yeah. Do you know what I was going to say? We talked about Keenan obviously a lot on this show as well. Look, as Mark says in the comments, we absolutely need to offload a few. We absolutely do. From a perspective of what we want to bring in, if we do get rid of the likes of Traore, if Nakamba leaves, if Gilbert leaves, if a couple of the lads, Philogene Badace has obviously gone on loan, if we actually get rid of a few in the squad, then I think obviously we'll have to probably bring some people in. But Rich, I think you're absolutely bang on, mate. It's not easy to get that kind of that big striker, the one that can hold the ball up, but it's still fairly mobile. It's not easy. So if it's not easy to get it and you don't get the right kind of option, then is it a massive issue, other than maybe injury record permitting? But is it a massive issue to go with Keenan Davis as that sort of fourth option at the moment? If you can't get what you need, I'm not saying he's the answer, but are you going to, if the strikers we've got to stay in, i.e. Ings and Watkins, maybe Archer goes on loan, whatever, are you going to bring in a big, strong, Tammy Abraham to not play every game?
That's the tough thing. These players that are coming in for 30, 40 million are going to want to play. That's the issue. And Richard said there, goals. That's going to be our issue. Ings looks sharp, but can he stay fit? Ollie, for all his effort, just won't score enough. It's a striker, but as we say, you're trying to keep Ings and Watkins happy. How are you going to keep Ings, Watkins, and another happy? It's just, it's so difficult.
You probably keep Archer happy. Archer and Davies will probably be happy with the way this group is going, pushing top 10 of it. They'll be happy to be playing their part at times. But a Tammy Abraham, or a big Armand Broja, from Chelsea, if we got him, he isn't going to want to come in, possibly play.
Well, it's amazing how much hot property he is after half a decent season at Southampton, and like this, West Ham are after him. There's a chance Chelsea will keep him on. I think there's one or two other clubs looking at him. It's amazing how, just because he's quite big and he's got a bit of presence, that he's such a man in demand. I'm surprised as well that I know he's not really potentially done it in the Premier League, but I'm surprised that no one's gone in for Mitrovic at Fulham.
No, it can't be. He's the type of lad that's way too good for the Championship, but just not enough for the Premier League. So I'm not surprised anybody went in from. Like, I'm really not. Like, I heard someone went in for Mitrovic, I'd be like, "Are you mad? Do you not see the record he has in the Premier League?"
He's basically
but when Chris Wood goes for 25 million to Newcastle,
Dwight Gale, Cameron Jerome, Ross McCormack.
Yes.
We'll tear the Championship apart, and then just come the Premier League. It's a massive step up, and it's
just because you don't get the chances, you just don't get them.
Exactly.
You absolutely, you've got to take them when they come. Gaza said that Celtic have a couple of tasty strikers. Do you know of that, Martin? Isn't there a Japanese lad? Is there a Japanese lad?
What's his name? Like, it's
I can't remember what
NYO or something. I think I spell it on the back of his jersey.
Yes, yeah.
It's a weird name.
I mean, one from Scotland.
Very good. He's like the little fox in the box sort of thing.
Yeah. One that I'm surprised. Yeah. Gaza saying Mitrovic is not better than we have. Yeah, I agree. It's just like, in terms of that type of striker, I think I was more sort of referring to. But I mean, I guess if he'd have had a better season without a lot of injury, I could have potentially seen a Morelos coming, Alfredo Morelos, but I just don't. He just hasn't played enough. He just hasn't played anywhere near enough games.
No, I really wouldn't want him. He's really troublesome.
He got a lot of sendings off a couple of seasons ago, but he was top scorer in the Europa League, and we haven't played in the Europa League, so he must know where the goal is.
So is Libor Kozak.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
There's a random Europa League stat for you.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well. So I guess the question is then, is Gerrard actually going to do anything then? Like we've said, we need those two players, but is he going to do anything between now and the start of the season? I know Everton have signed quite a few players at the minute, like Dwight McNeil and is it Vinagre who's gone in on loan? But like, I mean, is it looking like he's going to do anything? I think we had a comment earlier saying that he's going to have to get rid of a few players first, before anyone comes in. But are we looking at that basically just players leaving before anything like that happens?
Yeah, I think we are. I think I've seen on the Pierce Observer that they're more concentrated now on outgoings at the minute than incomings. And I think, you know what, there might be something in the works that we just don't know about, because as history shows, someone got announced and we were like, where did that come from?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for it to pop up now.
Yeah,
while we're live on air.
I really
Alfredo
think something like
Morelos has
that's gonna happen.
signed. Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I really think something like that's going to happen, that
We're going to sign someone.
sign someone and we didn't even know where the link or nothing came from. Like Chambers and Ings. Carlos a little bit as well, because at one minute it was like, oh, we're linking them, and the next minute we signed them.
Well, it was all on for Newcastle with him, wasn't it? Really, in the
January was all for
window.
Newcastle. Yeah. What was it, £50 million bid or something they put in?
Yeah.
Big money. And then all of a sudden Zia had to balance their books for financial reasons, and we got them for nearly half the price. So I think there probably will be someone coming that we just don't know of. I think it's another little secret of Aston Villa that they're managing to keep this all quiet. But I say they are be more concentrated on outgoings with like the likes of El Ghazi. I know Trezeguet is gone now.
All right.
Obviously, I see Keenan Davis going to Forest.
Maybe. Well, we'll talk on that, because we'll move on to like the friendlies and stuff, because the Rennes game we'll come on to shortly. But with regards to, I think they're playing Fulham actually, like an under 23s 11 is playing Fulham tomorrow, and as part of that 11, I've heard that Traore, Chukwuemeka, and Gilbert are going to play in that game, possibly even El Ghazi as well, unless his wife is due to give birth very soon. So I think, Kev, that kind of spells the end for certainly Gilbert and Traore, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that it's just time now. Kessler Hayden's, he's done so much to prove himself, I think, in the last few weeks. And you've also got Ashley Young if you need that extra cover. Chambers could cover right back. Konze in an emergency. I think we're covered with that. We haven't got Al Mohammadi registered a player still, have we? So he's probably not going to help with that. But we've got cover there. We've obviously got the new left back cover as well. So I think we're all right. So I think that. Yeah, I think Gilbert's going to go. I think Traore, he just doesn't fancy him, does it? He's too inconsistent. Our days are our days of having, and this has been a regular thing for years with Villa, whether it's been, Yannick Bolasie on one side, El Ghazi on the other, whether it's been Traore and Bailey, we hope to turn the corner. It's these inconsistent wingers, Trezeguet, that just can't do anything. Well, they can do on their day, they're like 9 out of 10, but then their day's one every 3 weeks. So, yeah, I think the writing's on the wall for those guys. I was going to say the transfers just quickly before we move on. I don't think, other than Arsenal, I think Zinchenko and Jay-Z are good signings. I'm not really that bothered what anyone else is doing.
Aaron, behave.
Yeah,
get Ronaldo.
Nobody wants him.
Yeah. I mean, Everton have bought. Okay, Tarkov is a good player, right? But they've bought McNeil, who's got, was he like one goal?
Didn't get any goals last season.
No goals.
He didn't get any.
No goals, one assist or something. They've bought. Vinagre, who used to be at Wolves, like, I don't know, he's probably all right, but I don't know, I'm not bothered about what they're doing. Newcastle haven't gone any great shakes. I spoke about it on the last pod, but the teams above us, we want to get past, whether that's Brentford, Brighton, Palace, Newcastle, Wolves, Leicester, West Ham.
Yeah, they haven't really done much in the transfer window.
No, they haven't. I mean, Leicester look like they're losing Kasper Schmeichel as well. I mean, I don't know whether that's a good or bad thing.
I think it's a £5 million transfer.
Yeah, a lot of Leicester fans have been saying he needed to go a while ago, because they've got Danny Ward as the backup goalkeeper. So I think he's a decent keeper. But yeah, I agree, Kev. I agree. I think I think when you look at it in the sort of black and white, it's kind of been dominated by the signing of Haaland, Arsenal signings, Tottenham's great signings, but our work has gone kind of under the radar because we did it so early in the season. But if you look at the teams around us, they haven't made huge changes. And
No.
sometimes that can be good, particularly if they made a lot of signings the previous season or whatever, and they want to bed them in. But certainly for us, it's been a much more settled preseason, and I do think that if we can get rid of some of those players, the likes of Traore, Gilbert, maybe Davis, maybe Nakamba, El Ghazi, and get, whether it be loans with options to buy or whether it's just straight, selling them, we can get 20-25 million back in the books. Because when have we actually? I think Matt Target was our biggest sell on fee since Benteke or something like that. Obviously Grealish, granted, but it's just crazy that we don't sell any players for any money, and that's the whole point of operating a football business, isn't it? You've got to be able to sell players.
Yeah, absolutely. But there will serve. Look, I don't know the ins and outs of our FFP situation and what's happening with that, but we haven't. If you look at the money we've spent, we've got £100 million for Jack Grealish. So there must be still some money kicking around from that season somehow. And this season we've not spent loads of money. We've obviously Coutinho was a fee, Carlos was, Kamara was on a free, so there must still be money available. Must be still money available to go at it. You look at those teams ahead of us as well. You expect the top four to get stronger. Spurs, I think, have made some good signings. Richarlison can be a bit hit and miss, but Perisic is good. They've made some decent signings. I think that's no doubt about it. Haaland goes without saying, and Calvin Phillips on his day, absolutely. Arsenal have made some good signings. But if we don't go for it now, there's a good chance next year we'll. Great point. There's a good chance next year we'll be trying to push on for it, and then Leicester will strengthen, West Ham will strengthen, Newcastle will be better, and then obviously you're trying to get past teams that are actually improving at the same rate you are. It's a lot harder task. So we've got a good owners, we've got a good amount of potential money to spend. I think we've got to go for it now. We can't be going for players and trusting players that have let you down in the past. And if you're going into the season, we're relying on Traore potentially, or possibly Nakamba, or even I think Watkins and Ings as a strike force, when they haven't consistently done what they need to do. I know the Watkins stats are there outside of the top players, but he's a bit unconvincing, I think.
That doesn't tell you the whole story. You can look at stats, but you've got to look with your eyes. You've got to see stuff with your eyes. And at the end of the day, last season, even Ollie Watkins himself would say it would be disappointing. So that's what I take. But yeah, on the Rennes game, obviously, we talked about those players that are going to be playing against Fulham. There's also going to be an 11 playing against Liverpool, I think. I don't know if that's this Sunday coming or whether that's next Sunday.
After the day, the
day after the Bournemouth game, is it?
Yeah, I think it's after the day of the Bournemouth game.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, that's interesting.
It's all behind closed doors.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. But I imagine there'll be quite a few scouts watching that. It might be a game to sort of get some players, moving on or whatever. Yeah. So, but yeah, in terms of the Rennes game, what do you lads think in terms of because Gerard's pointed out, that he was going to start playing players a little bit longer against Man United, and I think the way that the first half went, I think that dictated some of his changes, that he made more changes at half time than he probably anticipated. I think he wanted to give more players 60 minutes than he actually did. But what are we going to see on that starting lineup on Saturday? Are you thinking that's going to be the starting lineup that's going to start against Bournemouth? What do you think? Do you think there's one or two places up for grabs? Obviously, Leon Bailey's put himself in the frame. Buendia maybe put himself in the frame ahead of Coutinho. Martin, what's your thoughts in terms of that starting team for Rennes and what that'll look like going into the Bournemouth game?
I think he might start with an intention of really showing how good his team is now. This is kind of the last game before the season starts, so he'll want to see, right, this is my strongest team, I'm going with that. I think that's what he'll go with. personally myself, I've never looked into preseason too much because like some teams can do really well in preseason, but then nothing in the Premier League, or some teams just do nothing in preseason and they're flying in the Premier League.
Yeah.
So I'm my only concern when it comes to preseason that if a player just gets his fitness up, he looks sharp, and he puts his name in the hat. Like, that's always been my case. Like, if when someone's not performing in preseason, it's nothing to do with their football ability. It's just to do with their fitness. So, I think coming back now to Gerrard, what team he's going to start with, and will it be an attention to Bournemouth? Will it be an attention to Bournemouth? I don't think so, because it's still so far away. He's still going to have another few days of training. So I think he will probably give players more minutes this time as opposed to the last game against Man United, because it's in France. It's only on a 2-hour journey home on a plane. So I think he will go with a strong team and give players more minutes, but I don't think it'll be an intention for the first game of the season.
Kev, do you think 4-3-3 or the 4-2-3-1 formation, or 4-1-3-2 formation? What are your thoughts on that?
I'd play a 2-1.5-3.
yeah.
0.77, 0.33. I don't know. I mean, I think
your numbers are going all around your face there.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. It's that that gif.
That meme where it's like
the man from the Hangover, Alan.
Yeah, that's it. No, it depends if you played 2 at the base, doesn't it, in midfield or not. You're probably looking at a 4-1, 4-1, 3-1. I don't know. I'm probably missed the player out there.
I think a 4-2-3-1 might work really well for us.
Yeah, I think that 9 places are settled for me in the team. I think you've got your back 5, and I'm including Mings and Carlos as centre halves. Mings, Digne, Cash, Martinez goes without saying. I think clearly Kamara's going to play, and I think clearly McGinn's going to play. I think Coutinho will start the game. I think Bailey's got himself now guaranteed in the team, I would have to say, with the way he's done what he's done. So Coutinho, Bailey, McGinn, Kamara, and your back 5, you've got 2 spots up. Is it going to be Ings or Watkins to play it? And is it going to be, who's going to be the other wide player?
Louise or Ramsey?
Louise Ramsey, maybe possibly Buendia. That's how I see it, really. So he's settled. I actually put quite a bit on pre-season. I know you say it's all about fitness and stuff, but that kind of team morale, that winning attitude, things like that, coming back from 2-0 down against Man United makes a massive difference. Trust me on this now. I might be eating my words, but Everton getting battered by Minnesota the other day will do a lot more damage, even though it's all about fitness and who cares about the result, than particularly with how they, I know they finished the season getting out of trouble, but particularly how their season was a struggle last year. Psychologically, you know in your own head when you've not played well.
When you're ready, if you're ready for the season or not as well, or Yeah. Okay. Well, no, that's I think
ready in 2 weeks or something.
Yeah. Well, I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's 5 o'clock kickoff or 6 o'clock kickoff on Saturday. We've got 1,300 Villa fans out there, which is great. So that'll be So that's fantastic support over there. A lot of them, 3 years since the Leipzig friendly, and I think a few of them have been itching to get over for a European leg of even though it's a friendly, and hopefully we'll be doing it for real, in a proper European tournament in the coming seasons. But yeah, it's great to have support over there. So
and I just want to say as well, sorry, to those that travel to Australia to watch Aston Villa, the commitment.
And we mentioned this on the last pod, Martin, just the supporters over there, that live over there, expats or Australians that support Villa. It was just phenomenal to see all the footage. It was just amazing to see.
Don't get me wrong, I do love Aston Villa, but would I fly 24 hours to try and watch the game? I struggle. But
tell you what, Martin, you got kids?
No, I'm supposed I'm on the next plane then, am I, Kevin?
Yeah, Rich, tell me, if I said to you a week in Australia, just not that you don't love your kids, but just a week off, just to chill out, a few beers, watch a bit of football.
You need 3 weeks in Australia. The jet lag kills you. Trust me.
Sign me up.
Believe me, I'll take the flight. Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah. So, boys, obviously, we the main but one of the main reasons we were on this pod was because we announced a big competition the other day. For those who could subscribe to the channel, of the opportunity to win a home or away shirt of their choice.
Away shirt is looking unbelievable.
For everyone sort of watching and commenting, please click in and subscribe. It's fantastic that you have. I think we've gone up, as I said at the start, from about 40 subscribers to over 125, which is phenomenal. I've put everyone into a draw on the random name picker. So I will share my screen now. So there is no.
It's embarrassing. It's just got like your name written about 15,000 times.
Yeah, my name's just written. So I have all the names here on the on here.
It would be so. It would be so funny if me.
I haven't put my own name in yet. So I'm going to click this button now. Hopefully it works. And we have Liam Crosby as the winner. So
well done, Liam.
Well done, Liam. Fantastic, mate. I will put your details on Twitter. I'll DM you or DM us at Villa Park Pod to give us your address and details, and we will get a shirt out to you. I'm sure we will do another competition later on in the season because the response has been fantastic, hasn't it, Kev?
Yeah, it's been brilliant. Yeah. Please keep spreading the word as well to everyone. Obviously, we're all about obviously getting interaction from you guys and let us know your opinions. It's all about talking about this great club and getting the feelings out there.
Yeah, and it's great having the interaction on live shows is fantastic. Getting comments from you, Aaron, Gaza, Mark. Many more comments throughout the show is fantastic. And those who are watching afterwards or listening afterwards, please check us out on Twitter. Give us your thoughts on Twitter. We love and Instagram and on our Facebook page. We love the interaction. If there's something that you want us to raise on the next show, if there's something you want us to comment on, ask us a question, then please reach out. Boys, been a great show. Thank you so much for joining. I'm sure we will be back either Sunday or Monday for our predictions show, who we think is going to get player of the year, who we think is going to get young player of the year, top goal scorer, dark horse of the season, etc. So we'll be asking for your predictions on that, and we'll be getting audience interaction as well. But Martin, great to have you back on the show. Thanks a lot for jumping on, mate.
No worries, great to be back.
Kev, thank you very much, mate, for jumping on as well.
Pleasure, mate. Thanks to everyone for all the comments as well. It's been brilliant to have them.
Excellent. And we will be back soon. And as always, just remember, we all follow the Villa. Bye, everyone.